You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey guys, welcome to Cards to the Moon. This is episode 76, and my name is Clark from 5 Card Guys on Instagram. With me as always is Hyung of Integrity Sports Cards, and John, who is Trade You at Recess. Alright guys, off the top, I was wondering if you heard the rumors that Fanatics is looking to buy Panini America. Many of us thought this might happen after they shockingly acquired Topps a year or two ago. Now, I just want to emphasize it's still only rumors, but I thought we could have fun with it and play a little make-believe in what the hobby would look like if it became true. What do you guys think of living in a sports card world where Fanatics now owns both Topps and Panini along with their new MLB and NBA licenses?
I personally would be okay with it.
Okay.
It's the two, I guess, products that Panini has that would be super cool. One, Prizm. I think a licensed Prizm would be just next. Like it opens up different avenues, and obviously National Treasures and Flawless for licensed baseball. Like that would be super cool. Actually getting into the RPAs like we talked about, right. And the potential that Fanatics has on that on that end. I think it would be a great marriage, and obviously Exquisite and Upper Deck would be the third tier brand that would need licensed, right. And then you have a perfect hobby. You have a perfect kind of like the mixture of Topps Chrome and Panini. I just don't want more parallels for Topps Chrome.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Crystal ball, do you think Prizm baseball will be so strongly accepted that it takes over Topps Chrome?
No chance.
No way. Yeah.
No chance. But it'd be cool. I'm a licensed. If it's licensed, I would have to see it. You know what I mean? But I think it would look super
There's
cool.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a chance, or there's a good chance, but because we already know what a Topps Chrome, we have a shiny product already for baseball licensed, right? So Panini Prizm would just be another one on top of that. But we talk about Topps Dynasty not getting enough love, but that might just kill Topps Dynasty if that merger or if that acquisition happens, because the brand name behind Flawless and National Treasures, it's already there.
Right.
But anyway,
I don't know, licensed Color Blast and licensed Downtown.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
There's a chance. You know what? I don't think many of us are super surprised by the rumors. I think if you look from a business standpoint, National Treasures, Flawless, Prizm, Optics, Select, Mosaic, those brands they're strong brands, and to let the brands just disappear to nowhere, I think there is a point where Fanatics was probably keeping tabs, and when the price was right, if the rumors are true, I'm sure at some point, if the price is right, they have to go for it, because I think those brands alone are worth it. So, if it happens, I'm not surprised. I'm sure the hobby would hope it happens so that those brands stay alive, and it would be pretty cool to see baseball in those brands as well. So, yeah.
You don't think there'll be talk about monopoly and things like that?
The Fanatics already, they've already monopolized. So it's like, what? Take it all. Make it better.
Yeah. Whatever it is, just please get rid of all of those riffraff brands and just, because now their schedule of release is going to be monstrous, right? So keep to the nice brands. Get rid of all of those other brands that we've been seeing.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. Again, it's all rumors, all hearsay. So if we ever hear anything more definitive, we'll definitely talk about it in a future episode. But speaking about more definitive, let's move on to our next segment, Hobby Headlines. So I think about a week ago or two, there was a controversy about another sealed, quote unquote, wax product. And this time it involved the 1986 Fleer basketball box, which of course features the iconic Michael Jordan Fleer rookie card. So in a nutshell, correct me if I'm wrong, but Whatnot, the company, sponsored the box opening at the National this past year. And it appears that the 1986 Fleer box may have been resealed, despite it being authenticated by BBCE. Yes, it's the same company that authenticated the first edition Pokemon case that Logan Paul opened, if you guys remember. And that only had packs of G.I. Joe, right? So, but yeah, now why some collectors are saying it was resealed is because the cards in the pack of 1986 Fleer basketball usually comes in a particular sequence because of how they were originally packaged.
Right.
More specifically, in two distinct parallel sequences, 66 cards apart. But when they broke the box at the National, the sequencing was off. BBCE says it was an anomaly and the box wasn't resealed or tampered with. So, large preamble, but the first question is, what do you think happened, personally? And two, the more important question, I think, is with more wax product, sealed wax product, being worth a lot of money these days, which might attract more people to try to tamper and scam collectors, do you think it's safe to invest in sealed wax product anymore?
I think those the older boxes, you're taking a huge risk. You don't know. I mean, this is the second time happening on that first Pokemon box was massive, and to have the same company,
remember there was the 2012. Let's not forget the 2012 Prizm basketball.
Right.
Remember they ripped it open and it was Austin Powers packs or something, whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was recent too.
Yeah, and that's a modern set.
Yeah, but even 2012 is I wouldn't call it super
Ultra,
modern.
right?
Yeah, you don't know, because a lot of people joined the hobby, a lot later, more recent than back in the day. So a lot of people, I guess, kind of bite the bullet there. But I think wax is a somewhat of a safe investment, especially if you. I don't think you have to worry about authentication when, for instance, when they're released. It's I'm talking about more modern stuff where, it's sealed wax. It's a great release of, let's just say, Bowman, and there's some studs that you think potentially could become superstars in the MLB. Like, how much is a 2017 Bowman or 2016 Bowman worth right now with Soto and Vladdy to even find a box, let alone, right? So I think in that context, wax can be a very good investment long term, but that's if you could not rip it, right? It could be a pretty bad one too if you don't have the I guess the urge to not rip, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right. Well, here lies the issue is that I think people are putting into question some of the early vintage expensive stuff, right? 2012 Prizm. But Neo Cards and Comics, the guy that I follow, he opened like a $500 box of Marvel and it was fake. It had I don't remember what it was, but the same thing. It was kind of like the Pokemon. It had like G.I. Joe packs or something in it. Completely fake. And it's not an expensive box, right?
Yeah.
So that stuff is tough to watch because it just continually, I'm sure, however many boxes are in the world, what percentage are actually fake? Probably like a tiny number, but it just puts a lot of doubt and a lot of, the confidence in purchasing older stuff starts to get pretty weak, right? And
right.
If you purchase ultra modern stuff, like Hyung says, I'm going to purchase Bowman first, Bowman products or Bowman Chrome. And I know it's good because, it just came out last month. We're good to go. So you have confidence in purchasing it, and I know it's legit. But let's say you wanted to hold that box for 25 years. You're going to hide it in your attic.
Right.
Come time to break it out in 25 years and sell it if it's worth $50,000. Who's to say whoever's buying it off you is going to be like, how do I know that's real? It's like, no, I swear I bought it from, the hobby store here like 25 years ago, they're like, I don't know. Like, how do I know that, right? So
Yeah.
it just brings into so many weird questions, even if you're holding it now and it's real, but you hold it for 20 years. How are buyers going to be confident what you're holding other than your word that is actually real, right? So, I don't know what the if we're going to get to like how we're going to fix this or what's the solution, but clearly there is a need for a legitimate, no offense or maybe offense to BBC, but like a legitimate authentication company that is willing to stand behind their product. I think that's the main. If BBC comes out like PSA and is like 100% we back our our grade, our seals, and if you get a fake one, we're going to pay you out for the value at that. Like, I don't think there's no issues. There's zero issues, but they're not backing it. And, I think PSA has an opportunity here, but at the same time, PSA is probably like, the market's too risky. As much as it might be lucrative, we don't want to get in the business of possibly authenticating boxes that can be fake. So we just don't want to touch it. It's like a can of worms or something, right? So I don't know where it stands, but somebody at some point needs to basically be, securing it.
They're not that good at their job, huh?
BBC.
Yeah, like, I mean, that's your bread and butter. It's just make sure this thing is real.
I don't know how that company can survive any
longer.
You
can't.
That's brutal.
Like, why even use it at this point? It's crazy.
It's mind blowing.
Yeah. Well, even with the Logan Paul situation, what they did was like look at the condition of the box. You know what I mean?
Right.
They couldn't actually rip it open.
The
like
age of the tape and like.
And now that we know it could be faked, how do you have confidence in a company like BBC that does it that way? And like you were saying, John, like, they don't guarantee money back or anything like that. So the liability is all on you as the collector, right? So yeah, I think we need some kind of trusted third party, as much as like, that's not a perfect solution either, right? Like there still could be some tampering, but I think it's always a trade-off, at the end of the day. I think it was Neo. I listened to that video that you sent by Neo Cards and Comics, and he wasn't sure too. He's like, I don't know what we have to do to make things more secure, to give collectors more confidence in buying and even storing, or selling in the future sealed wax product. But one of his kind of solutions off the top of his head was like, the third party company needs to be able to open it and check for it and then seal it with like a
factory label,
exactly
certified like label or whatever.
Right.
Exactly, 100% like that. Yeah. So that might be the way to go. NFTs might come into play. I know people don't like listening to about NFTs, but I think that's where technology can certainly help. And I don't know the mechanics of how it would exactly play out, but I'm sure there's a technological solution in the future for this kind of stuff, right? But as the hobby continues to grow, as we believe, and I think you mentioned it, John, already. Like, just say we do buy 2016 Bowman Chrome, and even 5-10 years, and the price of the sealed product goes up. Like, when there's an opportunity to make a lot of money, you're gonna get more people trying to scam others with that product. Like right now it's like, it's only 1,000 or 2,000. It's not worth me taking the risk to get potentially caught, but it might be worth it if it's 50,000, and right now the process is like, it's so hard to prove because, it could switch hands multiple times before someone decides to open the sealed product. And then you're like, okay, who knew what and when, right? So it's tricky, but yeah, I don't know. I just believe in the hobby will figure out a way to make it more secure. And we're just going to accept it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, as the hobby grows, all these things have to almost happen so that we can learn from this.
Absolutely.
And then make things safer.
Right.
But
I mean, that's what we always preached like before, right? It's like, this is a new market, more people are coming into it. Of course, there's a lot of problems. There's a lot of problems that get exposed by, the unfortunate bad people, the poisonous people in the hobby. But as we get better as a hobby, there's going to be creative and innovative people that create these solutions to these problems, right? So that's what I'm optimistic about. It's like I'm not optimistic about like all these things. Oh, it's going to be all right. Like it's not about that. It's more about like these are the hard realities that we have to face, as a new emerging market, right? To make the hobby better, right? So it's just a matter of time when we, figure out all this. Who knows how it's going to all pan out. But I know there's a lot of successful stories, for instance, in terms of people who invest in wax and have done really well in the past. And that's probably 99% of the stories, right? But we only pinpoint the ones that kind of pop out and say, okay, this is the issue, when it's really not an issue in the hobby as a whole. It just happened to be exposed, at that scale, right? At the national and stuff.
True.
So,
right.
Yeah.
Now, piggybacking off of Neo Card and Comics idea, crystal ball into the future. Let's say PSA starts, I'm just going to pick PSA because they're a big enough company to be able to secure and guarantee product. Let's use them as an example. Let's say PSA gets into that business. They rip open the box, packs and all, removes all the wax, and puts the entire box, they authenticate it and puts it into a regular card box, like boxes that we use for our cards, and then reseals that. So you're not ripping packs anymore. You're just opening up a completely sealed, PSA sealed box of cards, but it's a full authenticated with all the cards in there. Comes with guaranteed 3 autos. They're all in there. Would you guys be okay with purchasing a product like that?
No, absolutely not.
Hyung, how about if it was BGS?
I just think once you take it out of the box, it's like, I mean, it's dead stock, right? Like that's what you're going for. It's like, it's kind of like that's the whole point. It's a sealed case, right? The moment you open it, it's not a sealed case. End of story, right? So it's tough to get over that for me, because I think the sealed part is like the most important thing, right?
But you would take the risk in the future?
I wouldn't buy. At the end of the day, I probably am not a guy that right now in the current situation till a solution is found. I probably wouldn't buy sealed wax. I probably,
That's worth a lot of money, right?
That's worth a lot of money. I'm not a fan of holding stuff that like sealed wax, for instance. I'd rather hold a Grail player, or a player and a Grail card of that player, and I'll hold that instead, right? So I'll open. Wax is meant to be opened, So
I get where Hyung's coming from, but if I was in that market, if I had a lot of money to buy, high end wax product, and I could see there being a market for people that would just buy the PSA packaged goods, knowing that it's authenticated, knowing that there's a guarantee that it's not tampered with in any way, right? Do I like it? No, of course not. I'd rather buy it fresh, open, crack the seal myself. But if it's going to be a continuing problem, which I hope not, but if it is, if I had 50,000 for a box, sure. Would you, John?
Yeah, that's a great question. I just kind of thought of it right now, so I don't really know what to think. But, I would imagine if you're in the market to buy something crazy like 86 Fleer, or, lo and behold, there's a 52 Topps baseball box that got unopened and it goes for like $1 million. I think in those situations, as a, like a high end collector, I'd probably want that, to be honest, over the thrill of like ripping wax. I'd want to know that whatever heck that I'm buying, it was all completely legitimate. So yeah, maybe there is something to this.
Yeah. I would like to hear, I guess, from our listeners if they had any potential other solutions to make investing in sealed wax a bit safer. But yeah, I can't really think of any off the top of my head. But yeah, if you do, feel free to DM us at Cards to the Moon on our Instagram page, and then we'll carry on the discussion. But yeah, it's crazy. It seems like it's happening more often, or we're just paying more closer attention to these high profile box openings, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the thing too, is like we don't realize as technology emerges, we're just more aware of everything a lot quicker than, the past, right? So it's like we see a lot more things quicker, and I think these are the instances that like I kind of like criticize card porn for and stuff like that, where it's like blowing it out of proportion, where it's like the worst thing for the hobby, but it ends up blowing away, and it's really not that big of a deal if we all don't focus our energy on it. There's scammers going to be scammers. Like I said, I can't stand them. Like
scammers existed at the beginning of time. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. And you're not going to change them. And unfortunately, they're the poison and the cancer of, the hobby, but they're going to be them, and you can't really avoid them until we as a hobby kind of find those solutions. Right. So,
sure.
Yeah.
And like last thing I'll say is like, if there's money to be made, especially in the high end, retail and high end boxes, like institutional investors, they're all going to try to look for a solution for this problem. For sure. Right. They're going to throw money at it to find the best way to secure, their assets. Right. So yeah, I'm not worried at all, but definitely it's something that the hobby in general will have to look into for sure. All right, with that said, let's move on to our next segment we call Over Under. We've played this before, but for our first time listeners, what I'm going to do is name a card with a grade and then give you guys, Hyung and John, a dollar amount, and you tell me if you think the last sold price was over or under that number I just gave you.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. I got 3 for you. The first one is Fernando Tatis Jr. 2000. You might know this because you might have already been looking at prices.
Under.
Fernando Tatis Jr. 2016 Bowman Chrome rookie auto, BGS 9.5. Gem Mint 10 auto, over under $1,100.
BGS 9.5.
Yeah, the base.
I'm gonna say it has to be more expensive than I'm looking at. I think it's at the $1,500 range.
Let's go.
Okay. The last time we played this, I said 1,600, and it was over 1,600.
Right. Okay.
Oh. So I'm lowering it to 1,100 now.
Yeah,
so you say over, Hyung?
Let's just go under for the sake of it. I don't.
Okay. It was a close one. It sold at 1,170, so slightly over.
Damn.
Jeez, that's
so
like
just under 12.
Yeah, that's where I think a lot of people are going to be like, "Huh." I'm interested at that price. I think.
Yeah. Like what if it's like $900? Yeah. That's crazy.
Oh yeah.
I'm just saying. Just on the side, like just think how marketing works, though. Regardless if it's bad press or not, you're talking millions and millions of people are seeing Fernando Tatis regardless, right? So I'm just saying that's how marketing works, good or bad, right?
There are still millions and millions of fans of Tatis, regardless of the news.
Right.
Absolutely. Okay, second card. Aaron Judge. He's historic pace right now. To hit 60, I think he's on pace to hit 64, 65 home runs right now. But Aaron Judge's 2013 Bowman Chrome base rookie auto, PSA 10 this time, over under 3,000. Just to give you some context, at the start of this season, it was around 1,300.
3,000.
Usually, I'm gonna say. Man, this is hard.
Wow, that's a big increase.
I was going to say under, but then it got me thinking because usually a PSA 10 comes close to a refractor, I guess, like a BGS 9.5.
Right. True.
So I know that the BGS 9.5 sold for over 3,000, so that's why I'm hesitant. So I'm going to say it's over.
Wow.
Okay, over 3,000.
I don't know. That seems kind of high. I'm going to say under.
Okay. Just seems high. Yeah, this was a tough. I'm giving you tough ones because it's just like slightly either over or under. Last sold 2,900, so slightly under. But you know what? If he continues at this pace, it's going to be over 3,000 real soon.
But really,
Yeah,
the
for
refractor BGS 95 is around the same price?
It's over 3, I think. Yeah.
Over 3, yeah. 3,500.
I would
last
all
sold.
day pay that $500 and get the refractor. 100
Refractor of
Oh, 100%.
BGS 95.
Anyways, besides the point.
Yeah. I have it, so I can't wait to see how.
Yeah. Great trade.
Woohoo! Yeah. All rise. Okay. All right, the last card. We're going to switch to hockey, just to switch things up. Kirill Kaprizov. We talked about him before. His Future Watch autograph card that just came out this year. There's one graded, just came out, BGS 9510, Gem Mint. So by Beckett. Over under 2,000.
I hope to God it's under, but
Yeah.
whoever bought it,
Pop
it's
one
pop
right
one
now.
Right now, yeah.
I think I've
I'm
seen a
gonna
PSA 10 too. I don't think it's sold though.
Okay.
It was listed for like $4,000 or something.
I'm gonna say under. I can't see it going. I know SP's released and everybody's waiting for it, and he's the biggest chase, but yeah, I'm gonna say under.
And the raw cards were going for like 11, 12.
Oh, were
right?
they really?
Really?
Yeah. I think so.
Then that. Okay, no, I'm gonna still say under. Yeah.
That's pretty wild. I'm going to say under 2. Yeah.
Okay, both under. The current pop one of BGS 9.510 of Kaprizov's Future Watch Auto sold for $23.20.
Unbelievable.
Crazy.
Someone's paying high for it right
Crazy.
now.
Pop one. It's pop one.
That's isn't what that's like
Yeah, that's
that's
too
more,
much.
way more than
That's too much.
McDavid. Oh no, McDavid Young Guns, I mean.
No. Yeah, yeah.
I'm thinking Young
Future
Guns,
Watch
not
is
Future
different.
Watch, sorry.
That's like
Yeah.
you're talking like Leon Draisaitl, like a little cheaper than like a Draisaitl or like a.
Right.
It's more expensive than like I guess like Marner and stuff like
Oh,
that.
yeah, for
Like
sure.
would double the price, right?
Marner's half of that, yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's a new shiny thing right now, right? with the SP Future Auto. Yeah, I think that's a bit high, but if Kaprizov has another amazing season, I think he's got to have another amazing season for those prices to sustain.
By the way, I've been calling him
Right.
Kaprizov. I think it's pronounced Kaprizov, like capri pants.
Kaprizov.
I think it's
is the pre on
Kaprizov,
the.
but anyways.
All right,
Yeah.
Kirill Kaprizov sold for $23.20. Man, that's gonna be hard
I know,
for me
me
to
too.
get used to.
Kaprizov's so much easier.
But good to know. All right, so there's our game of over under. We'll play another edition in a future episode. All right, let's end off this show with our regular weekly segment we call Pick One. And again, if you're new to the show, we do this every week. Each of us chooses 2 cards or 2 players, and then we debate which one we would rather invest in. All right, and as usual, we always ask Hyung to start things off.
All right, let's. I'm gonna go with baseball, and this is since we're on the whole Fernando Tatis topic. I seen a Sapphire Chrome sell for $800, a PSA 10. Okay, these things were at the peak $3,500, and they're down. Last sold was $800. I know there's one on bids that are more than 800 right now. So, and there's not too many listed under 1,000. So, I'm guessing that could be kind of floor, or it could kind of retract. But would you go 2019 Topps Chrome Sapphire Fernando Tatis Jr, a PSA 10, his rookie Sapphire, for $800, pop 320, versus a 2018 Topps Chrome Sapphire of Ronald Acuna Jr, his iconic Sapphire, last sold for $5,000, pop 107. So are you guys off? Are you guys going with Acuna as your buy? You guys said he was a buy, right?
No,
Or are you gonna go with Tatis Sapphire for Black Friday prices?
Holy. You guys know how I feel about the Acuna Sapphire. It is one of the more ultra modern holy grails. Beautiful card. Like, I think one of the prettiest cards in existence. I would love to own one day. At $5,000 currently, I still think it has some ways to come down. And because of that, by default, I'm going to pick the Tatis. The Tatis is cheap, but I'm gonna say this about Sapphire, and this is just my own personal opinion, something that I've observed. I once thought Sapphire product was something to follow. I'm not as bullish on Sapphire anymore. I feel like it's losing a ton of its luster, and I don't know if, of all the parallels, if Tatis Sapphire is like the one to go for in the future. I think gold out of 2019 is gonna. I think they've been priced kind of similarly. Actually, to be honest, I think the Sapphire has been a lot more expensive. But I feel the gold paper is going to take over. I'm not as confident in Sapphire products from Tatis's year forward. Acuna is different because this is like, we're talking rare parallel card of his, bat down image. So it's kind of like a very, very unique card. But Sapphire in general, I'm just not as confident as I once was in that product and the brand. So I am picking Tatis by default, but I'm not that super.
But really, he chooses neither.
Yeah. Of the two
like
options, I think Tatis probably has the most opportunity to kind of rebound in price and give you a bit of profit. I think Acuna's prices will kind of come down over the next little while. But yeah, I personally like the Acuna better, but I'm picking the Tatis.
So just to clarify, the Tatis is the flagship image, right?
Right. Yeah, it's the standard flagship image.
Sapphire,
the 410
okay.
image.
Okay, and like you said, John, the Acuna is the bat down.
Right.
Okay. I always rather prefer the vertical than the horizontal image. But
you like that $800 price?
That's my wheelhouse, man. 600 to 1,000, anything in there, I'm just buying, just scooping it up, and I can see that doubling if everything breaks right. But if, as a collector, I'm kind of with you, John. As just a collector for my PC, money's no object. Acuna,
right?
That card is like
100%
beautiful.
That's the card,
100%.
yeah.
But as an investor, Tatis at that price, and the pop count's still 320. It's not like it's super high or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I'm buying the dip for Tatis. So Tatis for me as well.
Nice. I think you summed it up perfectly. It's like, I own two of those Sapphire Acuna cards, and they like, people thought I was insane. I bought one raw for $2,000, like before it was like crazy, and then it ended up PSA 10, and
wow.
I ended up selling it to Phil Hughes for $6,000 at the time. So that was right before COVID, and that was probably one of my favorite cards. Like, just period of all cards. Acuna was one of my biggest chases back in 2019. He was so expensive back then, and that card was always the card to get. It was either the white jersey or the Sapphire. You go back and forth with the two cards. So from a PC standpoint, like, I would honestly rather that card over Tatis Sapphire. The only reason in question was the $800 marker. Like, how, as an investment standpoint, I think that's gonna make you more money based off of kind of like where Tatis prices are. And even through this dip, I don't think like Pop 300 is not, I would say, that much. I think a lot of guys probably bought Sapphire Tatis's at the peak, if not like, upwards of 2K to 3K. So I don't know if a lot of people are willing to sell that card specifically at such a loss.
For sure.
So I don't know if it will go under $800. I honestly, if there's one like a buy it now for $800, I think I'd buy it right now, like on on eBay. But I'm gonna go with the Tatis Sapphire based off more of a investment standpoint, not like a PC.
Yep. Just a question? If Acuna was having the season he was having before his injury, would that change your mind?
It
because that made my decision a lot easier too.
You know what? It definitely would help. That's what I was thinking. But I think I've seen that history of that card. The max at peak was $10K, and that was like super inflated in my opinion. Like it was ever since the Sapphire product was popular, in 2018, 2019 of that particular set, because the print run is so low, a lot of people chase that card, and prices for Acuna at the time he was like the biggest thing. He was number one in the hobby. Tatis didn't exist. Soto didn't exist. You're talking Acuna was the only guy, because Vladdy was that guy, right? So, I don't think it has that much potential growth, to be honest. I think we may never see 10K again with that card. Who knows, right? Like, it might float between 5 and 10 for a while, but I think it's going to sit sideways, right? So that's why I don't think Tatis Sapphire will sit sideways at 800.
Yeah, good point.
Right.
I would have been, definitely more tempted though.
Oh yeah, for sure. If he was having a good year, absolutely.
For sure.
All right, that's a good one.
Yeah. Okay, boys, we're shifting gears to hockey. Two big boys that got traded recently. We're gonna go Jonathan Huberdeau Future Watch PSA 10. I don't see any that are available right now, but I know if it were to go to auction, it'll probably sell around the $500-$600 mark. Versus Matthew Tkachuk Future Watch PSA 10, which I think the last two sold were $400 and $375. Two big boys that got traded for each other.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So Huberdeau went to Calgary?
And
Huberdeau went to Calgary. Yeah.
Went to Florida.
Calgary took a big risk because Huberdeau was supposed to become a unrestricted free agent, but then he ended up signing an 8-year contract.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, so he's gonna he's gonna retire. He's gonna retire as a Calgary Flame unless he gets traded.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
You go ahead, Clark.
Man, I like Huberdeau better as a player. I like Tkachuk's team better in terms of the hobby. It's Florida still, but. Damn, that's a good one. Because it's like $400 is a pretty good deal for Tkachuk. But I feel like Huberdeau is still a good deal at $500-$600 if that's the comp you're giving us. Signed 8 years, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna just go with a better player in this case. Like if it was like if we went to the Rangers or a bigger market team, that might probably sway my decision a little bit more. But, Huberdeau is like, I think we talked about in previous episodes, he seems to always be underrated stud player. So I'll take the chance with Huberdeau, fresh new team. Hopefully Calgary can make a playoff run during one of his 8 years that he just signed. So yeah, Huberdeau for me. I'll throw in the extra 100.
Yeah, I think, I was thinking about it. What worries about the Tkachuk purchase is what if next year he scores like 80 points? What will he had a breakout season. He had 100 plus points this year, and he's super young, right? Like he's still 24 years old, I think. So I'm a little worried about what his prices will do if he's not gonna score 100 points plus.
Right, and he's with Gaudreau, right?
Right, and so for me, Huberdeau, there's going to be points to be had with Calgary losing their top two guys, so he's going to be their guy, right? So I think he's going to put up pretty decent numbers. So I think that's why I would go with Huberdeau, just because he has a more established career, as well as I don't know if Tkachuk is going to score 100 points next season. If he doesn't, I don't think his prices will do anything. If not, they'll retract a bit, right? So, yeah, I'm going with Huberdeau.
Right. I can't recall if Florida re-signed Giroux, but they have Barkov. Anyways,
right.
I thought of this one because number one, they were traded for each other. This was the biggest trade in the off seasons so far. But I actually wanted a Matthew Tkachuk Future Watch because I have Brady, so I wanted the two brothers together. On a personal level, as a fan, I don't really like that he went to Florida. Florida's like the sleepy. especially in Canadian markets, like, you know, in Toronto, or if you're in Calgary, like, nobody pays attention to Florida. No offense, you know, to some of the Floridians and the Americans, but you know, I wanted Tkachuk, and now that he's in Florida, I don't think I want it anymore, man. I think he's gonna kind of get slept on and maybe forgotten. Whereas Huberdeau, you know, you could argue Calgary is, you know, like to the ire of like Calgary fans, you could argue that Calgary's no bigger market than Florida. It's kind of almost the same. But sitting here living in Canada and dealing cards at Canadian card shows, it's a big deal to have Calgary players or Montreal players or Toronto players or Vancouver players. Like, they do trade differently than a Florida player, right? So I think this is more specifically for us and the Canadians listening in dealing hockey. I think Huberdeau, of the two, paid a bit of the extra money, and I think he's the one to kind of invest in. And player-wise, Tkachuk, I think, absolute stud. I think he's the type of player that you want on a Stanley Cup style team. But he's not a guy that drives offense. Like, I think he's going to get his 100 points on the power play with Barkov. He's like one of those types of players, whereas Huberdeau is a kind of player that drives offense. He can get 90, 100 points on his own, right? With, you know, not as much help. So I think Calgary fans are going to be probably pretty happy with Huberdeau and watching his offense. And I think his popularity is going to grow. And he just signed a huge contract. He's committed to them. So yeah, I like Huberdeau.
All right, cool. I feel better about my decision too now that John confirmed Huberdeau as his choice. The Huberdeau sweep. All right. Okay, we'll end off this episode with my pick one. All right, here it is. Lamelo Ball, 2020 Panini Prizm Silver, PSA 10. Sold for $1,500, around $1,500 last sold. As a pop count of 164. All right. Versus Morant, 2019, his Silver Prizm, PSA 10, which sold for $1,200, so about $300 less. But his pop count is 1,390. So I guess I don't know. I'm curious to see what you think, because I like a certain player better.
I think we all like Ja better than LaMelo.
Right?
The question is the pop count, right?
This is what I'm testing.
Yeah,
yes.
That's low, man.
Yeah,
I'm surprised.
I'm shocked. I didn't think.
I'm going to say that pop count so low is because of when LaMelo's release was. You know, it's part of that influx. I think that number is going to increase a lot over the next. I guess now that PSA opened up. But either way, I'm going with John Morant. Like, Ja's a freaking stud. Like, this guy's a dude. Like, LaMelo, next year is gonna be his kind of make or break year, in my opinion. Like, he's gonna have to put up some numbers and prove to him that he is that elite type player that can be a scorer, right, and score 25 plus a game, and be a triple double threat every night, right? Like, I think Ja Morant is a superstar. I think his prices are very fair right now for what they are, especially on the height of, him being in the shadow of Zion, being in like the height of the hobby where it was in 2019 and stuff like that. That 2019 Prizm becoming a great, set with a great class. So for me, yeah, I'm all for Ja Morant, especially if we're talking, similar prices.
Okay.
I'm still kind of in shock of how low the pop is on that LaMelo Ball. I don't care if PSA pricing was $200 or $50. I would have assumed way more people would still, based on the potential for profit, would have sent that card in. But it's pretty surprising. I'm with you guys, and I feel like a sweep is coming. But LaMelo, as much as the pop is enticing, I think everybody is going to assume that pop at some point is going to be kind of in the 2,000, 2,500 range. We'll see. Maybe this is like a true low production silver. We have no idea, but we're going to assume it's going to be a pop of 2,000 to 2,500. LaMelo, I think, still has price to come down and to correct. And he's missing his running mate, Miles Bridges, who who knows what happens? That guy might not see any more NBA games for the rest of his career. It's pretty rough. So this one's very easy. It's Ja Morant for sure.
Yeah, that pop count is so enticing, but I'm not going to belabor that point. It's a Ja Morant sweep. But listen, I'm going to give you just an impromptu 1v1 before we close the show, just to make it a little bit more interesting. Lamelo Ball, same card, 2020 Panini Silver Prizm PSA 10, 1500 with that low pop count. Instead of Ja Morant, Zion Williamson, 2019, same year as Ja Morant. His Silver Prizm PSA 10 goes for the same amount, 1500 as LaMelo, but his pop count is about similar to Ja Morant's, which is 1495.
Right. I'm going Greg Oden. No, like for me, it's Zion. Like, yeah,
really?
Yeah. I just think he has a lot more. He's hit or miss. Like, I think, I don't know. LaMelo, he's okay. Like, I'm not sold on LaMelo as a player. Zion, I'm not sold on his longevity, but I am sold on his talent. Like, it's undeniable. This guy scored 27, averaging 60% plus from the field. Like, that's ridiculous. This guy's gonna score buckets all day, right? So as long as he stays healthy, his prices are gonna go bonkers, in my opinion, if he ends up, having a good run. So yeah, I like the volatility of Zion. I think he's pretty low based on where his prices were, and NBA season's right around the corner, and there's gonna be a lot of hype around Zion. So I'm hoping that, he will be the guy to step up, right? But yeah, you never know with these guys, people comparing him to Greg Oden, but to each their own, eh?
There's a high risk Hyung I haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, I've been very safe during this so-called recession, right? But I guess we're not in a recession. They change the definition every time, right? So we're good.
I'm with Hyung. I'm not super convinced. Like, I mean, I think LaMelo, I was never convinced of LaMelo even when he was young, but he did surprise me when he entered. Number one, where he got drafted. I didn't think he would get drafted that high. But once projections started coming out and he was like projected to be either 1 or 2 or whatever, I was like, wow, I didn't think that for LaMelo. Anyways, surprised me nonetheless. He's a pretty flashy, pretty exciting player, no doubt. I don't know if I see like superstar in him though, right? I'm kind of with Hyung. I think can be flashy. I think he's a good support player, but I don't know if he can be like the main dude. Zion, you guys know how I feel about Zion. I normally stay away, but based on just the activity and chatter around Zion, I will pick Zion as much as I don't want to pick it. I think investment wise, because so many people are on it right now, like people are back on Zion and buying it and, drooling or tantalizing at the fact that he's going to come back. He's going to be ripped at 240 pounds of pure muscle. He's going to start dunking on everybody. I think people are pretty high on this comeback. So for that reason, investment wise, I think there's an opportunity to make some money. So I'm going to pick Zion. Whereas I think LaMelo is just going to continue to kind of go down slowly.
All right. You guys are buying into the hype. I can't believe it. But in this case, man, Zion's burned me already. So I know I gotta have a short-term memory, but I can't help it. So I'm going with LaMelo this time.
Oh, I didn't expect that.
Come on, Jazz is no brainer.
Select burned you, not Zion.
That's true. That's true. Oh yeah, I'm rooting for Zion, but yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see. But and New Orleans, there's a lot of hype with the Pelicans too, right? With all those young guys, and they're supposed to, take another step up from this past year, which they surprised a lot of teams or a lot of people too, right? So I see the appeal of Zion and buying into the hype, but I like LaMelo. He surprised me. I don't want to fade him twice, so I'll give LaMelo a chance this time. All right, that was a good round of Pick One. Yeah, that ends our show. Thank you again to all our listeners and subscribers. We definitely appreciate all the kind and great comments we've been getting lately, even more so this past week, saying that, they've been listening to our podcast while they're driving to work or just running errands. So yeah, well, we're glad that you guys are tuning in, and we hope we see you again next week for a brand new episode. We'll see you then. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.